Hey guys, this is George. I'm a little bit under the weather, and I came across a great site called fairfowl.blogspot.com. It's in my description box. It answers a lot of questions about surviving the post-apocalypse, or if things really get as bad as they were in Argentina. And I'm going to kind of read a little bit from that website. And Fairfowl says, the big question people ask is urban or country. And someone once asked him, how did those that live in the country fare, if they are better off than city dwellers? As always, there are no simple answers. He wishes he could say country's good, city's bad, but he just can't. Because if you have to be completely honest, and he intended to be, there are some issues that have to be analyzed, especially security. Of course, that those that live in the country and have some land and animals were better prepared food-wise. No need to have several acres full of crops. A few fruit trees, some animals, such as chickens, cows, and rabbits, and a small orchard was enough to be light years ahead of those in the cities. Chickens, eggs, and even rabbits would provide the proteins, a cow or two for milk and cheese. Some vegetables and fruit plants covered the vegetable diet, and some eggs or a rabbit could be traded for flour to make bread and pasta, or sugar and salt. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, some provinces in north of Argentina had desert climate. It was almost never rains. We have that here in Southern California, Nevada, Arizona. I mean, there's large portions of the U.S. that are deserts. And it's going to be very, very difficult for people to obtain the water to do, large irrigation farming or even small farming if we have problems with our water system. In Argentina, food prices went up 200 to 300%. So people would cut expenses wherever they could so they could buy food. Some ate whatever they could. They hunted birds, or some even ate street dogs and cats. Others actually starved. When it comes to food, cities suck in a crisis. It is usually the lack of food or the impossibility to acquire it that starts the rioting and looting when the crap hits the fan. When it comes to security, things get even more complicated. Forget about shooting those you meet that mean you harm for 300 yards away with your rifle. Leave that notion to the armchair commandos and the 12-year-olds that pretend to be grown men up on the internet. Here's some facts. Number one, those that want to harm you, steal from you, don't come with a pirate flag waving over their heads. Neither do they start shooting at you from 200 yards away. They won't come riding loud bikes or dressed up with their orange convict just escaped from prison jumpsuits so you can identify them better, nor will they all be wearing chains around their necks and leather jackets. If Fairfield had $1 for every time a person that got robbed told him they looked like normal people, dressed actually better than they are, honestly, he would have enough money for a nice gun. There are exceptions, but don't expect them to dress like in the movies. Criminals are sneaky, and as resources get eaten up and people start being pushed, middle class starts being pushed in the poverty line, there'll be a whole class of criminals that develop around it as police security becomes more relaxed. And number four, being an isolationist, trying to survive on your own is a noble feat, but it's very difficult because you're not going to be able to always be on alert and on the watch out. Many times you're going to be, doing things around the house, or you'll be away from the house, and it's best to have a small community that works together for the general overall security if things really hit the fan and you can't rely upon, a motivated police force. That said, the best alarm system anyone can have in a farm are dogs. But remember, dogs are great for protection and as alarms, but they can get killed and they can get poisoned. In Argentina, many dogs were poisoned, and that was a tactic used by criminals. Criminals know that they are isolated out in the country, and their feelings of invulnerability are boosted. When they assault a country home or farm, they usually stay there for hours and days, torturing the owners. So in some cases, being isolated from the community can actually be worse. Fairfell heard it all: women, children getting raped, people tied to beds and tortured with electricity, beatings. The stories will go on and on as things denigrate. Big cities aren't much safer for the survivalist that decides to stay in the city. He will have to face express kidnappings, robberies, and pretty much risking getting shot for what's in his pockets or what's in his clothes. So where to go? The concrete jungle is dangerous, and so is living away from it all on your own. The solution is to stay away from the big cities, but in groups, either by living in a small town community or a subdivision, or if you have friends or family that think as you do, form your own small community. Some may think that having neighbors within shouting distance means losing your privacy and freedom, but it is a price that you have to pay if you want to have someone to help you if you ever need it. To those that believe that they will never need help from anyone because they always have their rifle at hand, checking the horizon with their scope every 5 minutes, and a first aid kit on their backpacks at all times, is definitely wrong. As the economy slowly deteriorates and the dollar becomes worthless, there'll be many things that we consider normal everyday services that will be impacted. The number one thing that you should have on your list as far as preparation is water. No one can last too long with water, and the urban survivalist may find that water is of poor quality, in which case he can make good use of a water filter, or that there is no water available at all. When this happens, a large city where millions live will run out of bottled water within minutes. In Argentina's case, tap water is not very good, and they can see black little particles in the stuff that are things that look like dead algae. So this is what is to be expected as the water service companies run out of money and have difficulty updating and maintaining equipment. You'll see a sharp decrease of the quality of the water that you get. So you definitely look at definitely store up as much water as you can. Use plastic bottles, refill soda bottles, and place them in a cool place, preferably inside a black garbage bag to protect it from sunlight. The water will pick up some plastic taste after a few months, but water that tastes like plastic is far way better than no water at all. Whatever kind of crisis scenario you are dealing with, water will always suffer. Look at what's happening in Gaza. There's whole sections of Gaza that don't have water, that don't have electricity. This is some of the things that we have to think about locally. And also power or electricity. It's very, very common in the third world that electricity to go out for days at a time, sometimes normally hours per day, and they actually in parts of the third world they call them brownouts. It's different from a blackout. They have specific terms for it. So remember though, if a city goes without power for 3 days, it becomes one big dark grave. People get caught in elevators, food riots, hospitals only have a few hours worth of fuel for their generators and they run out of power. Without power, days can be darker, and like I said, it can be one dark grave. If you can get out of a city, if it goes for days, definitely do it, because it will be a madhouse. Also, have in your toolkit flashlights and plenty of batteries. One thing that is priceless is a LED headlamp. This is something that you can use in camping, and that's something I've learned, is that go camping more and try to see the things you need while you're camping. What are the two things you're definitely going to need? Well, the obvious, a generator. Also, something that you may not think of is a battery charger that has both a solar panel and a small crank. Also, speaking about compressed gas, it'll decrease in quality and there will be very little gas. So try to have an electric oven in case you have to do without it. If both electricity and gas go down, one of those camping stoves can actually work pretty well. And what Fairfell says, beyond anything, above and beyond all our preparations, is 90% of this is mentally. 90% of this change has to happen mentally. We have to have a survivalist attitude.